This is a Classic Hits 4FM podcast.
Speaking of men's rights, I do want to get around to this. Should fathers have more rights when it comes to abortion? Now, have a listen to this email that I got in today. It says, "Hi, Niall. Hope you're having a good morning." I did, actually. I had a very good morning. Could you bring this up on your show sometime? With the hot debate on abortion these days, it seems strange that half the picture is never talked about. Reproductive rights for men. And he's right. We never talk about it. We talk about the woman and her right for an abortion. But he goes on to say anyway, if a woman doesn't feel ready to be a mother, she has many options. If a man doesn't want to be a father, he's out of luck and on the hook. He goes on to say that doesn't seem very equitable in this day and age of equality, and it needs to be part of the national conversation. Thanks. So what this message is invariably saying is that women have all the rights when it comes to abortion. Now, I can understand where this person is coming from, but let's be honest, it's a little unrealistic to think that if a woman wants the baby and the man doesn't, that he can force her to have an abortion. Or vice versa. If she wants to have an abortion and he doesn't want her to have it, he could have his say, and I would like to think she would ask him, particularly if they're married. But really, can he do anything about it? Should a man have more rights? Or do you think it is the woman's body and she should have the final say? As it stands, unless the woman is married, she holds the right to an abortion over a man. There have been some cases where a married woman who wants to have an abortion has been taken to court by her husband. However, it is slim to none that the father ever wins or, will ever win a case like that, because what are they going to do? Lock the mother up for 9 months? There was a case in America, a very interesting case, where a rapist took a woman to court who was pregnant, forced her to have the baby, and also managed to get the baby every second weekend. And he was a rapist. He was doing time. When he got out of jail, he got to see the baby. Therefore, the mother has the majority of rights when it comes to abortion. So do you agree with this, or should the father have a say? I mean, the question I want to ask, and I want you to get involved in this, it's a very interesting conversation, and we don't really hear the other side of the argument, because we talk about the women heading off to England, 5,000 a year, and, in the future in this country, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a referendum in relation to abortion. It may or may not go through. Let's say, for example, it does, and we have abortion on demand. You're looking at 1 in 4 babies, similar to the UK, being terminated. Do the men have a choice in that? Should they have a choice in it? So should a father have more rights when it comes to abortion? Yes, you believe they should, or no, you believe they shouldn't have any rights at all because it's your baby and your body. Text 53544. I want to go to John Gormley, who's a member of Men's Human Rights Ireland and the man who sent me in the original email. John, good evening to you.
How are you doing?
It's a very interesting conversation that we really never have, because we don't consider the guy, I suppose, because I suppose invariably, John, in a lot of these cases, it may be a one-night stand.
Absolutely. But I mean, it's a two-way street there, basically, where a woman has a one-night stand as well. So it's essentially, the human rights are made of two halves, two genders. I mean, you have a male and female. We're all responsible for it. Mm-hmm. So, why shouldn't we all have the same rights when it comes at the end of the day?
But when we talk about a pregnancy, from the biological sense, do you believe that there's equality there realistically, when the woman is the one who carries the baby, the woman is the one who will suffer, the woman is the one who will give birth, and in most cases, she's left holding it if the guy does a runner?
Absolutely. But the flip side is also there as well, where men have these days have actually no rights whatsoever in the issue. If they decide that they want to be involved with the child, the mother has a choice to say yes or no. Mm-hmm. Also, the other thing is that men are normally financially responsible for that child as well. So it's never quite as clear cut. You were saying something about feminists there. I'd like to say something there about. There was a feminist on O'Connell Street there recently who was talking about abortion and said that men should not be involved in this conversation at all. Mm-hmm. I say we are half the human race. I think we do have a right to speak our piece on the issue.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. And I've heard people's suggestion, by the way, but in the past, that if there is another referendum on abortion, that men shouldn't even have the right to vote, which I think is outrageous. Because after all, they're 50-50 in producing the child. But realistically, let's say even best case scenario, you're married to a woman, right? She gets pregnant for whatever reason. She decides she doesn't want to have a baby. You have a bit of a barney. You decide to get separated. I mean, what can you really do? You can take her to court. There's been a couple of cases, by the way. You can take her to court. The judge says, yeah, I agree with you. You have rights. But what they're going to do? Lock her up for 9 months? You know, I mean, what can they really do?
I don't think it's what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you cannot lock somebody up for 9 months. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, the best case scenario is for everyone to go get counselling beforehand. I mean, that's the man as well, because there are no counselling services for men whose girlfriends or wives have gone off for abortions. It's basically just tough. You don't matter as such.
Yeah, because these guys obviously mourn the loss of the baby as well, I'm sure, yeah.
Of course. I mean, it's an obvious thing. I mean, if you're told your girlfriend's pregnant and then she comes back a month later on and says, sorry, I had an abortion, tough. That hurts. Plus, the other fact is, I mean, I know a girl from years ago who she got pregnant by one guy, told somebody else that it was his instead, and she got him to pay for it to go across to.
No, he didn't get a DNA test out. He clearly didn't get a DNA test.
Well, not in those days. You took people at their word. So,
of course, yeah. I mean, well, then let's flip it around. Let's say the other way around. Let's say the woman doesn't want to keep or should I say, wants to keep the baby, and the guy says, "Well, no, I don't want to be a father. I'm not ready for this yet." Do you believe he should be able to kind of literally walk away because he's made that decision and said, well, look, here's the €1,800 to have an abortion. If you want to have it, there's the money. I'm paying for it. But she says, look, I don't want it. So should he have to pay for that child for the rest of his life?
I mean, what it is that what we have been saying is that, I mean, when things are equal, that, I mean, women have the option to give a child up if they so choose. They can go have a child adopted if they so choose. They can have an abortion if they so choose. They can take half a morning pill if they so choose. The only rights men really have are to either keep it in their pants, get a vasectomy, or to wear a condom. Those three choices. Or actually, the other one, of course, is trust that she has been honest with you, that when she says she is or is not taking the pill. So the answer at the end of the day is,
that's what I'm going to say to you, John. What is the solution, to this, to getting more equality in relation to this conversation? Because I don't know what the solution is.
Neither do I.
I mean, I understand the family law courts in this country are a disgrace. I'm well aware of that when it comes to, men getting to see their own children. And many men have taken their own lives because they don't get to see their own children. And they're accused of all sorts of carry on just to keep them away from their children. The family law courts need to be addressed. I think 93% of cases go in favour of women, which is outrageous. But in relation to the whole abortion issue and the pregnancy issue, I find it very difficult to understand I agree with you, but I find it difficult to understand how you could legislate for it.
I don't know. I think maybe in a situation where fathers would have the right to choose not to be fathers. I mean, say, listen, okay, well, I mean, women have the right to go along and say, right, well, I want to have an abortion.
Right.
And she can do that if she so chooses. She can go along and say, I'm adopting the child out. But he actually has no choice whatsoever. So I think maybe an opt-out clause, maybe.
Okay, so he can sign himself out of the deal.
Basically, I signed the letter, whatever case, but here you go. That's it. I mean, I don't like that. I mean, this is a nasty, horrible subject to bring up. Yeah. But it's just there. I mean, you have to go along.
Because basically what you're saying is the woman has the right to opt out. She can go and have an abortion if she wants to. So you believe the man should have the right to opt out of that situation of being of fatherhood if that's what he chooses to do?
Well, I wouldn't say that. That's what I think you should do. What I would think, every circumstance is different. I mean, you can't go along and say, well, this is cast in stone here, because we just don't know. I mean, every single circumstance is different. You have two people who meet one day into the backwoods, whatever the case may be, and then she finds herself pregnant. Then she's walking down the street one day with a child, and he goes, that's a beautiful child, and then they get together, and there's no setting in stone here. You can't do that.
But so somebody said, I think Helena put it online earlier on, and somebody put up an interesting comment. They said, when you get into bed and have sex with a woman, and obviously you're fertile, you're more or less signing a contract that if that woman gets pregnant, you both have a joint responsibility. It's almost like some sort of contract. That you both have joint responsibility to it.
Yeah, well, I think that's really where the whole equality thing comes up. I mean, if you're going into sign a contract, basically you will have some sort of benefit, I mean, at this stage here, I'm a happily married father. I mean, I love my son, I love my wife, and I can never see myself boot them out.
Making a decision like that. Yeah, but you still would like to know that the option is there if ever you wanted to. Well, stay there for a second, John. I'm talking to John Gormley. He's a member of Men's Human Rights Ireland. And I do believe it's time, that men spoke out. I hear women speaking out constantly about the rights for women in this country, but I very rarely ever hear men speaking about their human rights. So I'm asking you, is he right? Should men have an equal part when it comes to pregnancy? I.e., if a man wants a woman to have an abortion, that he says it's word. If she doesn't want to have the abortion, fine, go have the baby. But he should be able to opt out of that fatherhood because she can opt out if she wants to. And vice versa, if she wants to have the abortion, that he should have some say in the matter. Text 53544. Do you believe men should have any rights when it comes to pregnancy? Tara, you're in Cork, you're in Classic Hits. How are you, Tara?
I'm okay tonight, Niall.
I think you're ready. I think you're ready to fire there now, are you?
Well, in my response to the topic tonight, one word, tough.
It's tough.
For men. Yeah, just get over it. At the end of the day, it's up to women what they want to do with their bodies. And in Ireland at the moment, I think Limerick, I'm not quite sure, but I think it's Limerick has the highest rate of unmarried mothers.
I think you're right, actually, in that. Well, I know they have the highest rate of teenage pregnancies.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you take a 14-year-old little skank, okay, who gets pregnant, are you telling me that the so-called father, in inverted commas, is capable or responsible enough to look after a newborn baby?
Not a chance, no.
No way, not a doubt. Without a doubt, no way, not possible. And I know of one case quite close to home, and they were 17, 18, and she went and had the baby, but 17, he's clueless. The father's absolutely clueless.
So he's only a child, for God's sake, yeah.
And then once she had the baby, what did she do? She went back to school. She should have stayed in school in the first place, Niall, instead of having the baby. Okay?
Well, let me ask you a question, Terry. This happens. It's a very common thing that two people, let's say they're not school kids, let's say they're in their 20s, they meet in a nightclub, one night stand, or maybe they've had 2 or 3 dates, and it breaks up. Right. She finds herself pregnant, doesn't tell him, goes and has an abortion, tells him after she has an abortion, or he finds out through a friend. I mean, as far as he's concerned, that's his child too.
Well, it depends. I mean, now, look, if I meet someone, for example, in a nightclub, and I maybe see them again 2 or 3 more times, and then I accidentally get pregnant, I make a mistake. I honestly, hand in my heart, I would think to myself, there's not a chance in hell that this person is going to stay with me.
Possibly,
or if I do, okay, if...
But would you give him that choice? Would you not give him that choice?
No, I wouldn't give them that choice because, 99% of the time people would just they'll just scamper. They'll just run.
I think that's a very bold statistic, 99% of the time. I don't believe 99% of the time men will scamper.
Niall, the romantic 18th century version of the way these things work out is like they fall in love and she tells...
John, 99% of the time men are going to scamper.
Yeah, they are going to.
It's funny.
Well, maybe the guy you've got on the other line and there, things like that. They're all the men are just going to stay. Now, listen to the men that come onto your show. The way they speak about women, and you're telling me that all these these so-called marriages out there are perfect. They're not perfect. I mean, a lot of the time women have children, and it's a disaster afterward, an absolute disaster. And then they're only staying together for the sake of the kids. They hate each other. They're at each other's throats morning, noon and night, but they're only staying together because they have 1 or 2 kids. I mean, now that's no way to live.
No, I agree, it's no way to live. But let's stick with it. So you don't believe, at the end of the day, as far as you're concerned, it's, your womb, your body, your belly, you're the one who's having the baby, so that's the end of it.
Yeah, and I mean, like a lot of women die at childbirth.
Well, then what about the rights of men? Do men have any rights at all when it comes to pregnancy or abortion?
I mean, I think men, they're a lot more casual about the whole thing because they're not going through the whole pain and suffering of it.
Okay, well, hold on. Let John answer that because he finds it humorous.
Yeah.
John, men are a lot more casual. They kind of don't really give a shit when it comes to women getting pregnant.
Yeah.
Do you buy that?
Yeah, I've been hearing an awful lot about how men have no emotions, men should get in touch with their feelings and all that kind of stuff. They say we have feelings, we have emotions. I mean, it's not like we're dead.
Yeah, we're not kind of gormless creatures, yeah.
No, I mean, this thing like where men don't care, it's just, it's rubbish. I mean, it just, men just don't show the same way that women do. That's the difference. Of course we care.
Well, any of the men that I've met, it's all that's been said to me is get your kit off. That's all that's been said to me anyway, so.
I don't know what sort of men you're meeting, Tara, and where you're meeting them. And where you're meeting them.
We're these perfect men, Niall.
Yeah, but if the guy, if the guy wants to be a part of the child's life, and, says to you, well, look, I'll hang around, I'll take the baby at weekends or to McDonald's or whatever it happens to be, I'll do my bit, I'll pay the maintenance, I'll, pay for the buggy and everything else. And, do you not believe he should have some sort of say in the whole thing? No.
But Niall, it stops becoming a relationship. They're just.
Well, you don't have to have a relationship.
For the child.
Yeah, but that's the way it is. I mean, I know two people in particular, for example. It was a one-night stand. They had a baby out of it. He's a great father to the child. She's a great mother to the child. They get on very well. He has his own girlfriend. She has her own boyfriend.
Jesus, Niall, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely
Why
mental.
is it ridiculous? It's just life.
The child grows up then and it has a kind of a part-time father.
Yeah, I know. It's not the ideal situation, Tara. I agree, but it's a situation that happens all the time.
At least the child has a father.
Do you know something, Niall? You know what the best solution to this is here? Adoption and gay couples. Now, and I think gay couples would be the best providers for children in vulnerable situations.
I tried to go through a whole night without mentioning same-sex marriage, but there you go. You just brought it in there. But in saying that, so you don't believe, Tara, the father should have any rights? Right, okay. But stay there for a second. If you want to send us a text, you can. It's 53544. You can call us on 1850 410 494. Some of the text coming in, somebody says, Niall, if he's dipping the wick of his own free will, then he can't argue with the outcome of it. Another person says, if your ex had an abortion or loss, should we be informed if a doctor, etc., whatever that means? I mean, in other words, if she had an abortion, should you be informed? I think so, yeah. I think if you're the father of the child, you should be informed. John, you're in Cork. You're on Classic Hits. How are you doing, John?
I'm good, and yourself?
Good, John. Do you believe that men should have any rights when it comes to abortion? Do you agree with John Gormley?
Yes, you have every right. Simple as that. And this is not the first time that I've expressed those views on your show and other shows, right? Of course a man should have a say. It takes two to create a baby in the first place.
Yeah.
And I was involved in a situation there now, it was during the summer, where there was a couple, and this lad I know, and she became pregnant, and she put her career first, and she told him that it wasn't suitable at the moment. I mean, it was inconvenient, the word was used, inconvenient, like when you're talking about the life of a child, right? Mm-hmm. And basically she told him she was going across the water to have a termination. Yeah. Now, he was in an awful bloody state, like, so he contacted me, and we talked it out for hours and hours and hours. So he actually went to the guards, and he told them the story about the guards. I told him he was wasting his time, but he still went because he was so traumatised. And the guards told him that they could do nothing about it because it's her decision. She has the right to travel, and basically they could do nothing. He went to a solicitor, he was told the same. He went to all the different pregnancy Cura and all these crowds. But it seems there's loads of, and I even spoke to the people in Cora as well, and they told me that basically they can't do nothing for the man. As one woman, the counsellor, said to me, basically she said, John, look, we can't do nothing for men. That's the way the law is. She has the right to travel. We can give advice, she said, for the girl. We can tell her what to do. But basically when it comes to men, she said, we are absolutely impotent. We can't do nothing for them.
Well, this is the argument that I put to John, and as much as I agree with you, and I agree with John Gormley in some sense that, men's rights certainly are superseded by that of women, the point is, what can you do?
Well, what can be done is, legislation can be brought in and it can be passed we bring in legislation every day. Jesus, we brought it into cripple the country.
But what's the legislation? What legislation is it? Explain this
legislation
to me.
Is that if both couple, if the two, the male and the female, decide that they're both going to have determination that that's what they both want.
Fine.
Well, they both agree on that, even though I'm totally against it. I believe abortion is murder, right? But if they both agree, well, there's nothing you can do about it then. But if there's a case, that this chap I just helped you out now, that she takes the decision and he's totally against it, there has to be some redress for the male of the species. Otherwise, it's tough shit, man. It's your child. I'm off. I'm going to kill
it. I'm with you. But what's the...
Sorry,
go ahead, John.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Can I go along and say something here?
Yeah.
I think one of the best things for the way things change maybe would be for the mother and the father to get some counselling maybe before a decision is made, rather than a case of just kind of jumping into it, because an awful lot of times what happens is women are just leaving here with just basically an intention of having an abortion and then coming back. Basically, there's no services to actually for those people to be helped.
There's no mediation,
after. So basically, what it is basically it gives them other options besides. I'm not pro or anti. Basically, I'm saying that there are other
options.
Yeah, and that's where. That's the only way to look at it. You can't just say yay or nay. You have to say there has to be options there as well.
But see, I have this vision in my head, and I as much as I agree with you guys, I have this vision in my head that, if you bring in legislation and you say, right, let's say you have to have counselling before you make that decision, and it must be mediation between two people. What are the police going to do? Are they going to stand at the airport and stop this person from leaving the country? Are we going to take her passport off her until such a time as she has the counselling? How do you, whatever about the legislation is wonderful, but it's completely unenforceable.
Can I answer that now?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Well, the way I look at it, if the law is passed, right, and if the person, still goes ahead and they'll have the abortion despite the wishes and going against the law, right, they should be brought back then and charged with murder.
Oh.
Simple as that, because they've taken themselves and the child that's inside them, right, out of the country, the jurisdiction, and they've killed the child. So therefore they're arrested, brought back, and charged with murder.
Go on, Tara, you want to say something there? Go ahead.
I just find it hilarious. What we need to do here, Niall, is we need to go back to more of a traditional method or approach to relationships. In today's society, we have this wham bam, thank you man mentality. Mm-hmm. And people need to get to know each other for longer periods of time. There needs to be more commitment in relationships rather than this sort of fast food approach to sex.
Yeah.
You just go in and you get sex 5 minutes later, it's like ordering a Big Mac or something at McDonald's. And but at the end of the day, if accidents do happen, but that doesn't mean that a woman is supposed to be tied down with the child just because this so-called boyfriend that they met the week earlier decides, I want a baby now. The woman, you have to think about the woman and think about her. She might be in the middle of a career, and it just might have been a stupid mistake, and her life is ruined. It's over. Because a life has been lost and as well over her decision as well. I don't see it as a life, John. I'm not until the baby is there.
Let's not get into the abortion debate per se.
It's hard not to. No.
I understand, John, but in relation, what John is basically saying is that now he doesn't have he obviously clearly has a problem with abortion, but he doesn't have a problem with the situation as long as both agree. But if they don't both agree, well, then essentially she's murdering his child. That's what he's saying.
You just gave an example now a while ago there. You said a friend of yours that that they have different partners now, but they had a child together and they kind of share the child. Isn't that right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and Tara seemed to have a problem with that. But there is no problem with that. But okay, they're not together, right? They have different partners in their life and the child is looked after. But the one big elephant in the room here is, right, that the child is not dead. The child is alive. They chose to keep the child and they're doing the best they can. This child is now alive and well.
But John, it's dysfunctional. When I was in secondary school, okay?
Anna, I'll take dysfunctional any day over murder.
But John, listen, when I was in school, right, the majority of the kids that were in school with me all came from single families. And a lot of them, John, were dysfunctional. They were absolute lunatics. There was no proper supervision at home. There was a woman, a single mum trying to look after a tearaway teen. And because there was no male influence in the house, they were running amok.
I agree with your point,
mentally disturbed.
Obviously, look, I mean...
Again, that's another show, and, we can talk... Okay, well, let me get back to this original point. I mean, John, when you talk about men's human rights, obviously abortion is your big issue at the moment, that you want to talk about this other side of the debate that's never discussed. Do you believe that men's rights are suffering in any other way?
I'm sorry, what was that? Do I believe...
Men's rights in Ireland are suffering in many other ways?
Well, I mean... I can go on and go to various different things. I mean, for example, the education, talk about the suicide rate, talk about alcoholism, talk about drugs. The suicide rate obviously is over 5-1 and growing, by the way.
Why do you believe that more men? Why do you believe more men commit suicide than women? Do you believe there's more pressure on men in society?
Well, there is more pressure in society. There's also more pressure in. I mean, if a man in custody battles, basically men lose on a regular basis. Just booted out of the house and no longer required.
So we're disposable.
The other thing is that I'm sorry.
We're disposable.
No, basically, thanks very much. Your services are no longer required. We have all we need here, and your children don't need you, as far as I'm concerned.
See, Tara, that's the problem. Even with this debate in relation to the pregnancy, men are just being used as disposable sperm donors.
Yeah, could I just come in and just on?
Yeah, sorry, John, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of suicide now in Cork and Fortune, like anywhere else. And last year, I know a guy that's involved now in separated fathers, and that is a huge problem because sometimes, the children, unfortunately, which should never happen, like, no matter what they do, even if they hate to live inside of each other, you still have a father, you still have a mother, and nobody should be turned against the other. But there was 3 cases last summer in Cork, and I know this guy told me for a fact that there was 3 guys committed suicide solely because they could no longer see their kids and their kids were turned against them and they killed themselves.
That's shocking, it is. And
shocking, and it's happening every day of the week.
I know. The family law courts are a disgrace. Sorry, John, go ahead.
The other thing is a lot of men lose their jobs, they lose their sense of identity. I mean, like taxi drivers are at the moment suffering an awful lot of ends were going for a regular basis for a long period of time. I mean, this is going to be a very serious issue. I mean, we in Men's Human Rights Ireland were asked up to Belfast to give a speech on the issue, which we were prepared to do, and we were stopped.
Why were you stopped? Why do they object to it?
Feminists objected to our anti-feminist stance, basically.
Okay, so they believe you're anti-women.
Oh,
yeah. Where you're not, you're just looking for men's rights.
I'm happily married. My mother's a lovely lady. My sisters are great. All my customers are all female. So
you're not anti-women.
Do I hate women? No.
Yeah, sorry, Tara. What are you trying to say there? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just want to say, does the other speaker, not John now, the other guy, does he think that a 14-year-old boy, is he capable of being a father?
With John?
Do I?
Yeah.
Well, basically, the answer to that question is that I'm talking about now in modern times.
Well, she's talking about teenage pregnancies, I assume. Do you believe that young men are capable of making decisions?
The majority of pregnancies are from teenagers. It's not from middle-aged women.
Well, when you say teenagers, it's usually late teens, 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
Well, 20 is not a teenager, but I mean...
have a baby at 18. You're still very immature.
I mean, if I recall correctly, a few years ago, I mean, the travellers were allowed to marry at the age of 14, so... Well,
I don't think it was ever 14, 16. They can marry at 16 with permission from the Circuit Court. Yeah, they can get married at 15 in other countries around the world, but not in Ireland.
They used to be able to...
I don't know about that, John. I think it was always... in this country, you must be 17 to get married. If you want to get married at 16, as far as I know... It's or either it's 17 or 18. I'm not sure, but a year younger, basically, you must get permission from the Circuit Court. But I know people have gone to other countries. There was a story in the paper last year about travellers getting married in some other countries around Europe and coming back here again because they have more lenient laws. You can text us at 53544. That's 53544. Let me just go to Jessica. Jessica, how are you doing? You're in Dublin. You're in Classic Hits. How are you?
Hi, Niall.
Hi, Jessica, do you believe that men should have equal rights when it comes to, the subject of abortion?
I definitely do, yeah.
Good.
50-50.
Do you believe they have any rights at all at the moment? Have they any rights at the moment at all, do you think?
Like, it's more the girl, I'm having it, and just because she thinks she carries it for 9 months, she has every right to do it. But no, I really don't think that she should do it. I really don't, because the father, like, it's 50-50, both made a baby.
I agree, but she's carrying it, isn't she?
Yeah, and like, I carry children, and like, if my partner wanted me, if I wanted to have an abortion, and my partner didn't want me to have one, I wouldn't.
What happened if it was the other way around? If you were pregnant, let's say, Jessica, and your partner turned around and said, well, look, Jessica, I'm not really in the humour for another baby. Will you get rid of that one now? I don't want that one. Would you? I know you wouldn't, but see, so then he basically has said to you, well, I'm having nothing to do with it. So should he be allowed to walk away scot-free? Because he told...
not scot-free.
But see, there's where the rights are down the middle. Because if you're saying that you want to keep the baby, but he says, I don't want to be a father yet, that's his choice. So he's asking you to have an abortion, which is available to you. He's asked you to have an abortion. You don't want to do it. He doesn't want to have anything to do with the baby. So surely he should be allowed to walk away. Because he's already expressed that to you, that he doesn't want the child.
Well, then he should have thought of that before he made it.
See, this is the point that John is making. You're saying that you would like to give him the right to get involved if you are having an abortion. In other words, that he should be able to say to you, listen, don't have it. The half of that baby is mine. But then if you're saying that he should have those rights, he should also have the right to opt out. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he has to express
because you have the right to opt out, Jessica. If you get pregnant, you have the right to opt out. You can go to England and have a termination.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the right to opt out. By law, he doesn't. Once you have that baby, by law, he must maintain that baby, under the laws of this country.
Yeah, but I know people that are in that, predicament, and they have to chase the partner to court, and these girls don't lie down and make the baby by themselves, and they just walk away,
But this is what John Gormley from Men's Human Rights is saying, that men should have the right to walk away, provided they've told the girl when she says she's pregnant that they don't want to have anything to do with it. That they've said, is that the point you're making, John?
But basically, what I'm saying is that the option should be there. I mean, if somebody is not ready to be a father and they're not ready to take on responsibilities, I mean, obviously in the case of there should be some kind of a counselling service of some sort. There should be more help out there for fathers and for mothers. Would be an awful lot of help as well. But I mean, the end right is, women have the right to go and have remove all responsibility either by abortion, after morning pill, or adoption. Then men should have that same right too. They say, "Well, I don't want to be a father." So that option should be there. Say, "I'm not going to be a father."
See, Jessica, this is the point that Rob. I didn't get him wrong. Yes, so this is the point that John is making, that if men should have the option to opt out as well and walk away.
Good idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a 50-50 decision.
Okay, but you did say that you know women who are chasing men through the courts for maintenance.
Through the courts, yeah.
Yeah, men who clearly didn't want to be the father of the child.
No.
Now, I don't know whether they expressed an interest or said that to them, but that's what I'm saying, Jessica. So you go to a guy, you meet him in a bar, whatever, you have a couple of dates, you get pregnant, and you go to him and you ring him up and you say, hey, I'm pregnant. And he says, well, look, I don't actually want a baby. I don't want to be a father yet. So listen, I'll give you a few quid if you want to go over to England and have the abortion. You say, no, I'm keeping this baby and I'm going to drag you through court. Do you believe you're right to do that? He's already told you he doesn't want to be a father.
Well, if he said all that, I don't want to have it, anything to do with it. I won't be paying. I wouldn't seriously take the... I'd call that a thing to court.
You can take him to court.
Yeah, but John, what do you... I mean, you get the point that John is making, don't you? John Gormley is making. That men should have the right not to have the baby.
What are you talking about, Musa?
Yeah, you. John O'D.
Well, the fact is, look, if he doesn't want anything to do with the child, right, the fact is the law should be there that he is the DNA father of that child, right? I mean, and he should provide under the law for that child.
But that's fine. That's the law of the moment. But John wants the law changed.
Well, why would he want to change?
Because you're missing the whole point. I think you're both missing the point here. The point is...
I'm looking for equality.
Equality, yeah, exactly. See, John O'D, that woman can get pregnant. She can go and get terminate a pregnancy if she wants to. That's her choice, right? She can do that. Right. So she doesn't have to be a mother if she doesn't want to be. So surely the father should have the same right not to be a father if he doesn't want to be.
Well, I obviously don't agree with any type of abortion, right? But I also find that if the guy doesn't make a girl pregnant, right, and if she decides to keep the child, if she doesn't want to have an abortion, right, if she wants to have an abortion, he doesn't agree with it. Obviously, it shouldn't go ahead. But if he doesn't want anything to do with it, the fact is she should still be entitled under the law to go after him because he's still the father.
Well, then you're saying she should have more rights than him.
No, the fact is.
Yeah, well, that's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. No, I'm not having a go at you because that's the way the law is at the moment, where the woman has more rights than man. So you're saying you agree with that?
No, well, the fact is, I mean, she shouldn't be able to have the abortion in the first place. I mean,
well, that's neither here nor there. But I mean, that's another day's argument. But sorry, Tara. Yeah, sorry, you want to say something very quick before we get in the break?
What I want to say is, Niall, that what sort of a society are we going to have if women just have babies that they don't want, and then they run around after men looking for maintenance? Because this is a crazy sort of a society to have. We can't let this sort of a society continue on into the well into the 21st century.
But do you agree with John? But do you agree with John that men should have equal rights and should be able to walk away from pregnancy?
Yeah, both parties should be able to walk away if they don't want the baby, I mean...
Okay, fair play. Okay, you agree with him. Okay, I'm talking to John Gormley and Tara. John is a member of Men's Human Rights Ireland, and Tara actually agrees with him. For once, Tara agrees with somebody. They both believe that, in this situation where a woman gets pregnant, we're talking about abortion, a woman has the right to terminate that pregnancy and not become a mother, but a father has no right. If she decides to keep the baby, she can chase the father for maintenance, but drag him through the courts. He's forced into being a father, even though he doesn't want to be. And he believes that men should have the same rights as women and basically say to the woman, well, actually, no, I don't want to be the father of this child. I'm sorry, this happened. It shouldn't have happened. We should have took more precautions. But tell you what, here's a few quid. If you want to go off and terminate the pregnancy, I'll pay half, obviously. But if she decides to keep the child, that he should be able to walk away clean and have nothing to do with that child. Shame, Gormley. There you go, Gormley. Shame. Shame, the person says. Shame on you for demanding that men should have any rights whatsoever, John.
Listen, Niall, I get abused all day long from feminists on a constant basis, so this is just really, it does not affect me in the slightest.
Right, okay.
I'm constantly being called a misogynist and all sorts of other nonsense.
Right, okay.
So,
and to clarify, you don't believe you're a misogynist?
No, God,
or your views. See, women would see your views as misogynistic.
I'm straight out honest with all my customers on my views of feminism. I mean, I don't think feminism's done anything for women.
Yeah, no, I probably think, well, extreme feminism certainly is looking for more rights than they're actually entitled to.
Just generally, feminism itself has done nothing for women at all. I mean, there's an illusion that it has. It hasn't.
Okay, it's almost become a dirty word, to be honest with you. All right, keep texting 53544. I want to go to Joyce. You're in Dublin. You're on Classic Hits. How you doing, Joyce?
Good. How are you?
Joyce, well, I'm listening to John, and I see the point he's making. I don't know how practical it would be, but I do see the point that he's making, that men have no rights when it comes to abortion or pregnancy. I suppose we're talking about young men here in relationships with girls, rather than, I suppose, married men per se. Do you believe a man should have rights?
I can't honestly answer that. I do. I think it's awful that anyone is upset, but I just think by giving a man, any man the right over a woman's body, I think would be a really bad mistake.
Hear, hear.
Hang on a sec. Let me get this straight. So 18 years of financial slavery is perfectly okay with you?
No, not okay.
Do you get?
Not okay.
Yeah, but that's the point he's making. So, in other words, if you decide to have the baby, let's say you and John got together, which is never going to happen in a million years, I can tell. But you and
My
John,
wife would never agree with that.
Okay, so you and John got together for a couple of dates. You got pregnant, Joyce, and he said, I don't want to be a father to this child. It was a mistake. I want to opt out of this situation. Do you want to have a termination? And you go, no, I certainly don't. I want to keep the baby. And he says, well, I'll see you so. In other words, that he has a right to walk away just as much as you have a right to walk away from the pregnancy.
Yeah, that wouldn't bother me at all.
But the law, it bothers the law.
I wouldn't care if he walked away. If I wanted the baby, it would be my decision, and I would be mature enough to rear the baby on my own.
Okay, wonderful. So that's great. But this is all he's asking for. He's asking for the legal right to be able to walk away from that pregnancy. But unfortunately, he doesn't have the legal right, because you have the legal right to chase him for the rest of his life for money, even though he didn't want the baby.
No, look, I understand all that, but I don't think there's an answer to this. I think it's going to boil down to maturity, that before you even have sex with somebody, that you make a decision, or at least you're clear, both of you are clear that somebody wants a child or doesn't want a child. Mm-hmm. That there can't, I don't think, it's such a messy subject. I don't think there's a clear answer to it. Like, if it was me personally, I would walk away, no problem with a child.
Sorry, go ahead, John.
I mean, that's one of the biggest things here, but it is a very, very messy thing. What we do not want to have is a situation where someone's making laws, which, it's a hurried decision. Making a law in this nature will be a disaster if it goes wrong. We've already had 2 referendums regarding this here. So if we're going to do it properly first, so there's no messing with it.
But the thing about it is, see, the problem is...
I just don't think that could be done properly.
Yeah,
how could you properly give somebody the right over somebody else's body?
And the other problem I see with it, John, is that you're absconding your responsibilities by walking away. And if the woman decides to keep the baby and she's not in a position financially to do that, the taxpayer will end up paying for the child. So basically, the taxpayer is paying for your decision.
Absolutely. It's basically it's an individual choice. Basically, should I be a father or not? I believe that men should have that right. If they so choose. If women have the right to, if women have the right to choose, then men should have that right to choose as well, and that's what this is about. I love children. I adore them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just say, in a situation where a woman decides to keep the child and she's not financially stable, and she ends up on the dole or the welfare or whatever, the welfare would force her to take the father to court.
They would, yeah.
Be a personal decision.
Oh, you're right, and that is the law in this country as it stands at the moment. But John wants the law changed, that he doesn't want any responsibility. He believes that if a man has expressed the fact that he wants to opt out or doesn't want to be a father, he shouldn't have that financial responsibility. Tough.
Yeah,
tough.
Well, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Okay, but what about the other way around, Joyce? Let's say you're pregnant.
I would have a problem with him telling me I can't have a child if I want to. I would have a big issue with that.
Right, and would you have an issue with would you have an issue also with him turning around, or do you believe that fathers should have anything to do with the decision making when it comes to a woman having a termination? I.e., if she decides to have a termination, and the father says, "Well, actually, no, I want that baby. It's mine too."
No.
Do you believe the father should have a right?
No.
See,
I
see where he's going. I don't believe it's practical, but I see where he's going. Men, so basically, what you're saying, the same as the law says, is that when it comes to pregnancy, men don't have any rights.
Yeah, I agree with him. And I don't agree that they shouldn't have rights, but at the same time, I'd be very careful what rights I do give them. Because I would hate to think
you
that my partner...
you wouldn't want to let them loose with a few rights. Huh? Sorry?
No, I would hate to think that anyone could tell me I have to have a baby if I choose not to. Mm-hmm. If I choose, I don't want to. I just think you're drawing the line. It's a very, very thin line to cross where you're actually able to tell somebody what they can or cannot do with their body. And I wonder if it was the other way around and men were having babies, would he be looking at it differently?
Possibly.
Yeah, the point is we can't have babies.
Mm-hmm.
I know, you're lucky sod.
Yeah, sorry, Tara, what are you trying to say there? Go ahead.
Am I missing something here? For the life of me...
I think you are missing something, Tara.
You're very naughty, Niall. We can talk off air later on. I'll sort you out. Why in God's name would a woman want to have a baby with somebody, with an ugly... For example, just to get pregnant for the sake of getting pregnant, just to have a baby. So you let some big, greasy guy of about 16 or 17 stone, some big culshy, climb up on top of you and do the business, right? Just to have a baby, just to turn around and say, "Oh, look, now I have a baby." That is the most ridiculous thing to say.
People do that, by the way.
But no, it's disgusting, and it should be outlawed, right?
I did hear those on RTE recently. I can't remember her name. She does one of the quiz shows on RTE. She was on RTE saying that her biological clock was ticking away. She was on the Late Late Show one night and she was almost tempted to go out and find a man in a nightclub just to get her pregnant because she wants to have a baby, but she doesn't want a relationship.
No, that's sick. It's absolutely disgusting.
Some women don't want a man. They just want a baby.
Well, then they should go to a sperm bank, Niall, and at least it would be more humane. Then
Go ahead, John.
In the likes of Sweden, that's what some women have actually done. They changed the law in Sweden, so basically that the sperm donors could actually be found and made pay for the child.
Oh gosh! So imagine if their sperm has got loads of women pregnant. Cheapers,
Oh, I mean that's one of the other ones. There was a dentist in the USA. A woman gave him a BJ, and basically she grabbed the sperm and she used it to impregnate herself. But I mean, if she'd given it to her friends, then
she gave it to her friends.
No, I said if she had
given it to her friends. How did she do that? Sorry, I'm lost there.
Yeah, I know. So basically, she went to court and she got him for $800 a month.
For
men have no rights in this thing. I mean, like what they said it was a gift. Now, my view is that if he had given her a gun and she'd killed somebody, would that have been still counted as a gift, or would it say, well, you did something you shouldn't have done, tough stuffing?
So once the sperm is yours, that's it. You're obliged to pay for that sperm for the rest of your life.
Yeah, well, once the baby is yours, that's it. I mean, even if it's been used maliciously, as that woman did.
God, I don't even know how. I'm trying to figure out how she even did that. Sorry. I'll stay there for a second if you want. The number's 1850 410 494. Okay, Joyce thinks it's a woman's choice. Stay there, Joyce. Let me go to Stacey in Limerick. Stacey, you're on Classic Hits. How are you?
I'm grand. How are you?
Good, Stacey. Well, there's a woman who knows all about babies and pregnancy because you've got a lot of them. The last time I spoke to you, I can't remember how many you had. I'm losing count. But 5. 5, yeah, okay.
At the end, there'll be no more. There's only 5. That's it.
That's it. Are they all in bed asleep now, yeah?
They're all in bed asleep.
Good.
5 kids in the 21st century.
That's
unbelievable.
God love her. That's all I can say to her.
Niall, is this the 1960s or something, is it?
5 kids?
That's unbelievable.
Well, maybe she just likes children.
I got twins. I was planning on 4, but I got twins, so I got a bonus child. So I'm I wouldn't swap any of them. I'm delighted with all of them. They're happy, healthy kids, and they're all fun games. And
I'm just dizzy thinking about it.
You're dizzy thinking about it,
yeah? I'm just dizzy thinking about so many kids. My God.
All right, well, listen, Stacey, in relation to pregnancy, let's say your first child. I don't know whether you were married when you got pregnant at the start. Were you married at the start?
No.
Okay, so let's say your first child, you got pregnant, you told your lovely partner at the time, because obviously it was early in the relationship, you said to him, listen, I'm pregnant, and he said, I'm not really into this. I don't want to be a father. I'm off. I'm out of here. Do you think he should be allowed to just disappear?
Yeah. If he wants to, then I wouldn't have wanted him around. Like that's. It's only one side of it, but I wouldn't be trying to hold on to him. If he doesn't want to be there, then that's perfectly fine. It's up to him. At the end of the day, grow up, and you have to live with your decisions. You know what I mean? If you're going to walk away from a child, that's your choice at the time, and however hurtful it may be, but. To live with that forever, knowing that you did that. So that's your decision. If you're going to make shitty decisions, like, you're obviously a shitty person. So
okay, but do you believe that, for example, that person should financially have to maintain that child till they're 18? Then,
well, see, that's a tricky one because
it is a tricky one, isn't it?
If men are going to go, if somebody's going to, if it was my partner, I'll say, and he wants to. I wouldn't want anything off him. I would be quite happy to just lie the loss of him and not have him involved.
And a lot of women are happy to do that. But in saying that, the law will say that he has a responsibility. So do you think the law should be changed?
But then you're getting him involved. If you really want a shitty person like that involved in your life, just for the sake of a couple of be it 100 quid, it might be, whatever it is. If you're going to, have to have this arsehole hanging around and you have to be listening to him forever for the sake of a couple of 100 quid, I wouldn't want that. That's my own.
I can see we all have huge respect here for the man that provides the sperm here. He's been called all sorts of things tonight. Arsehole.
If he didn't want that child.
But hold on, but hang on. See, here's where the inequality stands, right? You're saying, okay, he's that kind of guy, he's an arsehole because he doesn't run, right? Because he doesn't want to be a father, right? If you decided to have a termination, which I know you wouldn't, Stacey, because you've got 5 kids and you clearly didn't, but if you decided to have a termination, and I said, that Stacey one's an arsehole, she decided to have a termination, I wouldn't call you an arsehole for making that decision. That's your decision.
Yeah, that's true, but if I'm not protected and I don't want a child and I'm not going to protect myself, then I'm stupid enough to do that. That's
That's
a risk
life.
I'm taking.
That happens. These accidents happen. Things happen.
I know, but you have to go in things with open eyes. Like, guys, stop flinging your sperm all over the place. You want kids. End of story. Stop putting it places where you don't want it to be.
But we're not flinging sperm all over the place. People are having sex. People are having sex, Stacey.
Have you been into town lately? No, I swear to God, like, that's just my own. Like, if you're going to have sex with somebody, you're going into it with open eye. You know that even if you're on the pill, you can still get pregnant. That's a risk that you take.
Yeah.
But surely to God, if you're going to be pregnant, you'd be on the pill and using condoms. You have to take and if you want to take that risk and be risk. Don't protect yourself, then that's one of the consequences. Like, if you want to get drunk and be high building, you probably will fall off. That's your decision. That's a risk that you take.
Yeah, I suppose, John, let me go back to John in relation to this. John Gormley, who's from the Men's Human Rights. John, people are going to say there's no such thing as an accidental pregnancy. It's stupidity that gets women pregnant. Accidentally.
What was that?
Go ahead, John. Sorry.
So you're
I'm asking you, yes.
Breaking up there.
Yeah, it's stupidity that gets women pregnant, I suppose, essentially, when they don't want to be pregnant. It's not accidental. It's the fact that, you didn't wear a condom or, it's generally stupidity.
Well, I mean, condoms break and pills have sex. Right? She used the pill.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing written in concrete. You don't actually know what's going to happen until it happens.
I would imagine the majority of accidental pregnancies are people who, decided not to use contraception, decided let's use the kamikaze method, and that generally is why people get pregnant. And it's classed as an accident. Sorry, Tara, go ahead.
Well, I think, the Chinese method is the best. 2 kids and that's it.
2 kids.
And, because at the moment here, there's, financial incentives to have children. And if there was no financial incentives in the morning, I guarantee you the birth rate would drop. Because, people have a safety net here if they have children. They won't be left,
Oh, you're probably right. Yeah, I'm sure the birth rate will drop a little bit, yeah.
So if we take away the incentives, Niall, all this bullshit and this carelessness around pregnancy and getting pregnant and having sex willy-nilly, pardon the pun, would end very quickly, Niall. I can guarantee you.
Some people do like to have kids, by the way. Some people like a lot of children. Stacey clearly does.
Okay, well, then have them on their own way and put their own pocket, their own head into their own pocket.
In fairness to Stacey, her husband is working and they are paying for their own children. So, I've spoken to her before on the show.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can cap it. I mean, that's fine. Yeah. I think that the benefits are probably a bit high in my own, in my own situation. I do think that lots of people, they know that if you have, there's people out there.
Yeah, I mean, child benefit. I mean, Stacey, child benefit for you each month must be like the lotto, is it?
No, because it pays my rent.
Oh,
it's my rent. I don't get any joy out of it. We don't get holidays out of it.
How much do you get? What do you get for 5 kids these days in child benefit?
I get
600. Is it?
See, I get 650 for my rent, and then I usually have about 100 left over.
So you get about 700 quid.
I don't know, because what happens is I get my direct debits all are due to come out of my bank at the first week of every month. So my rent goes, and then we say my internet goes, my skybox goes, and there's nothing left. I don't know what actually goes in as a figure, but if I go to my bank on the second week, there's €3 there. So whatever that is.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever is left is 3. It pays my bills.
Okay, so basically the child benefit pays your bills. Yeah, that's good, yeah.
Yeah. Other people use it for holidays and people use it for certain things like that, but I don't. It just pays it pays my bills. But you're right, I think Tara's right saying that after 2 children, not so much child benefit.
Yeah, I think what Tara's referring to is people who are on social, I suppose, and getting single parent allowances and continuing to have lots and lots of kids when there's no money.
Ridiculous. I'm not going to disagree with her there, but at the end of the day, some people have kids because they want to have kids. I always wanted 6 children. I know I can only have 5 now, but I always wanted 6 till I grew up and I realised I can probably afford 4.
There's more to life than having kids. What about careers?
No, that's
what
all
about women having careers?
Tara, I've never wanted to be anything except my mother.
Leave her alone. Well, no, Tara, leave her alone. If she doesn't want it, some women just don't want that. As far as she's concerned, she's the maternal type.
I've never wanted ever to be anything else, only a mother. I've only ever wanted to be my mother growing up.
That's not a career, Niall.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
I mean, you try doing it, Tara. You try looking after 5 kids and see how long you last. Of course it's a career.
I lived for my kids. It's not like I chose a career and I wanted to do it, and then I decided, I'll just have kids, and it took over my life. That's all I've ever wanted to do. And I've worked in...
Give her a round of applause. I'm going to give Stacey a round of applause. Stacey, you are just as important in society as the woman working in the office in the highfalutin job, all right?
I got a job when I was 15, and I didn't leave that job until, we'll say, after my second... when I got pregnant with the twins, it would have been just ridiculous. I would have been going to work for nothing. So, I didn't choose to leave. And, I mean, my small fella now, he's only 1, and... I am going to go back to work because I want to work, but at the moment... you
couldn't. It'd be very difficult for... one of you kind of has to stay at home with 5 bloody kids.
Yeah, it's too hard now at the minute.
Okay. Well, do me a favour, stay there a second, because I want to continue this conversation. I don't want to go too much into the whole kid thing, but I'm delighted with you, Stacey, and I'm giving you a round of applause because you're a great person. Stay there for a second, Tara, Stacey, and John Gormley, from a member of the Men's Human Rights Ireland, who believes that men should have the right to walk away from a pregnancy if they don't want to be a father. They don't currently have that right. Jimmy, you're in Wexford, you're in Classic Hits. How are you?
Hello.
How you doing? Jimmy, do you believe that men have equal rights when it comes to pregnancy, abortion? Have they got equal rights?
Nobody has the right to kill a child. Nobody has the right to take the life of that child in the womb.
Go away, Jimmy, will you?
Nobody.
Go back to bed.
You sound a bit scary tonight, Jimmy, if you don't mind me saying it. Sorry.
I was with a laryngitis, Niall.
Oh, okay, because you sounded like something out of a horror movie coming on there. So it was just, nobody has the right to kill a child.
Listening to this conversation, it's very clear that the condom has failed. And that it has failed, and now we have diseases, and now they want abortion because when the condom was being sold to the people, couldn't fail. It was a non-failure. It was going to work. It was going to end this teenage pregnancy and unwanted pregnancies, but it hasn't. Young people are not using condoms. Mm-hmm. They're old-fashioned. They're something from the 60s. They're the lunatic feminist movement pushed all this. Mary Robinson was the captain of it all. It couldn't fail, but now. Where are they now? Where are they now to help out these women who have these children? Mm-hmm. The condom has the beginning of all this moral decay that's coming into Ireland, and look what's coming. Look the way the society has gone, and families, and look what they want to rights for families now.
Leave the then leave the abortion aside, because I know you're obviously pro-life. Just leave that aside. What John Gormley is basically saying is, if a woman gets pregnant and she tells the father, and he doesn't want to be a father, he's a young man, maybe in his 20s, doesn't want to be a father, that he should have the right to walk away and not have to pay for that child. Do you believe he should have that right?
Not have to what?
Pay for the child, pay maintenance, etc., etc.
Why should he walk away?
Well, John.
Essentially, it's as simple as this, basically. If women have the right to put their child up for adoption, take the after-morning pill, they have the right to go across to the UK for an abortion, a whole list of other stuff as well, then men should have the right to say, well, listen, okay, I don't want to be a father.
What about the child?
And that's it. I mean, basically just walk.
What about your... That's your selfish opinion. That's your selfish attitude.
It's not selfish at all. I am a happily married father. I am never going to be anything else other than a happily married father. I am saying that men do not have the same rights women have. I want equal rights for all men in this country. That's what I want.
What is a nonsense argument that you're going on? But you'll never be in that position. What are you arguing for something that you know nothing about? You're not an absent father. You're not a runaway dad.
And I don't understand the point. Essentially, I mean, basically, we have a whole list of stuff we're arguing about. One of those things is the fact that men do not have the same rights women have regarding parental rights. Basically, they don't have the rights in custody. Don't have the rights to say, well, listen, okay, she has the right to say, well, listen, I'm giving this child away. You have no say in this. She can go up to an adoption agency and get that child and say, there you go, adios. The father goes, excuse me, that's my child. And she says, tough. That's his options. Basically, he has no choice whatsoever. I want basically an equal playing field here, where men, if they so choose, can say, I want nothing to do with this child, I'm not paying anything for it, I don't want any more contact with this child if I so choose. Then we'll have an equal playing field.
There, Niall, for a second.
Yeah, sorry, Stacey. Well, hang on, sorry, Stacey, go ahead.
So we'll say if a woman chooses abortion, I'm not saying like that's something I would choose, I'm just saying if she did, then that child is gone and she can no longer get contact with that child anymore because it's gone. So if a man wants to like wipe this 18 and not have anything if he wants to walk away then without paying any money, why can't there be some place that says, right, I'm signing over all my rights and I'll never ever come back. So he can't ever come back and change his mind.
That's what he's
all
saying.
The assholes do when they hit
unless
40.
Unless the mother and father agree to...
No, he's gone. The child is...
Unless the mother and father agree to it.
No, because...
unless they jointly agree to it. I think that would be fair. Yeah, Stacey.
Well, I mean, see, men have certain types of women as well, and they can wind their way back in when they want, and sometimes women don't make the brightest decisions. So she might let him back in when the child is 7, 8, 9, and he's been wiping his slate clean for 7, 8, 9 years, and he doesn't want anything to do with it. And then what? He gets a guilt trip. If a woman gets an abortion, she gets a guilt trip. There's no comeback from that. So, like, if you want to say no, I don't want anything to do with this child, then don't come back in 10 years when you grow up and actually be a man and look back and regret and then want to walk in.
Well, why are you not a man?
I don't even know you.
Well, see, here we go again, Stacey. See, now Joyce did the same thing. Why are you not a man? I mean, we're being called assholes. Now we're being told we're not men if we don't want to be fathers.
As well. I'm not saying I wouldn't. You're talking about men. Women are idiots as well. More often than not. If she's going to get pregnant by such a guy, then she's an idiot.
Well, we don't all predict what's going to happen when we have sex. Sorry, Jimmy wants to come back in there. Sorry, Jimmy, what do you want to say to John?
They're all talking about adoption. What about the time when the children was left in shoe boxes outside of the gates of the church, and they were dumped into children's homes run by the state and by the church, when they couldn't go to England for so many thousand abortions a year? When they couldn't give them up for adoption. That's what they've done. And what happened after all those years? They came back and they blamed the church for their parents dumped them. So that woman is right what she's saying about conscience. People coming back, abortion is it.
But why? Wait, hold on. Why did they blame the church for their parents dumping them? Because the church shamed them into dumping them.
The church did not shame them.
Yes, it did. Of course the church did. Sure, but the church, all part of the church, the whole ethos of the Catholic Church 40 years ago is, how dare you get pregnant unless you're married? Jeepers, creepers.
Not shaming them into having abortions.
Yes, they did.
The church is not
They shamed them into abandoning their children.
No, that is wrong. You're wrong to say that.
Yes, no, I'm not wrong to say that.
Voluntarily gave up
my mother was shamed into getting rid of me, essentially, when I was born in 1963. My mother was shamed into it.
Getting rid of you was an easy way out.
Yeah, she did.
It was an easy way for her.
She handed me over to two complete strangers. Well, she handed me over to the nuns because she was shamed because she was a single parent. No money.
Abortion wasn't an option to her. That's why she
and the state were culpable as well because they didn't provide any money for her.
Can you hear me, Niall?
Yes, I can.
She handed you over to the state because abortion wasn't an option for her. It was an easy way out, and they wanted to blame the nuns and everybody else. And that woman is right, because I can tell you there's a growing number of women in Ireland who have serious issues now because they've had abortions. Nothing's been said about that. They're visiting psychiatric wards, they're committing suicide, they're on antidepressants, and abortion is not...
And there's a growing number of women having serious psychological problems because they put children up for adoption too.
Yes, exactly, of course there is.
Yeah, there's been loads of studies done on this in relation to this, Jimmy, and women have just as many psychological issues after they put children up for adoption as those who terminate a pregnancy. It's just, to be honest with you, both are just as bad when it comes to regrets.
Look at the many children are in the care of the state today.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the many that are there. But I think the one problem is to blame the nuns or to blame the state for taking children back in the 50s and 60s. People were just as selfish then. They went out, they had those affairs, they had the children and they abandoned them. But other women didn't abandon their children. They kept the children and they married the man or whatever it was.
Okay.
They stayed together.
And getting back to John Gormley's point, that was their choice at the time, right? So if it's a woman's choice now, if she gets pregnant tomorrow in the state we live in, which provides loads of money, and she gets pregnant and she decides, I don't want to have anything to do with this child, so I can have a termination if I want to, or she decides to keep the child, that's her choice. She can make that choice in this country. She can go to England and have the termination. I know you don't agree with it, but she can. John is saying, well, then why can't a man have a choice? I don't want to be a father, so I'm out of here.
Termination is extermination.
Well, whatever. But the point is, she has the choice. John is saying, let's give men the same choices.
If abortion isn't wrong now, what is wrong?
But let's not get too hung up on the abortion issue tonight. I'm just saying to you, the choices are there currently at the moment, whether you like it or not. So, John,
hop on, be a parent. The prisons are full in Ireland, England, and the United States. The statistics are there. The damage that these runaway fathers, that this failed liberal agenda is inflicting on our societies between drug addiction, crime, all this. Not all of it, but a lot of it is being linked to absent fathers. That's the psychological effect that it's having on these young children.
So what would you think? What sort of person is the father who would walk away?
I don't know. Sometimes it's the mother who doesn't want the father. Sometimes it's the mother who walks away and just her family. But whoever is to blame, the child is the one who's hurt the most. So they must get rid of their...
Okay, well, let me just finally put that point to John, because I have to wrap it up. John, what about the right of the child? The right of the child to have a father?
One of the things that the children of single parents is that their chances of failing in life are an awful lot bigger.
Of course, yeah.
I know there are people out there who will go along and slam me for that. Well, I don't care, but I've seen enough on statistics, enough reports and all sorts of stuff for me to be clear in my head. The best possible future for a child is with a mother and a father.
Yeah.
That's the best options. They're the best possible start for a child.
Yeah, but the point that you're saying is that if the mother wants to keep the child and you want to walk away, you should have that right. But basically what Jimmy is saying is, well, what about, you're concerned about your own rights and the mother's rights. What about the right of the child to have a father if the mother decides to keep the child?
Well, if a child is brought to termination, there's no end to that. That is an end. Sorry, excuse me. That is an end.
Extermination.
Yeah, termination. Yes. There's no good answer to that.
But there is no answer to that, Jimmy, really. I mean, you've made your mind up that it's extermination or murder, Jimmy, and there's no answer to that.
One of these days I will send you the DVD that I have that somebody has posted them to me from America of abortion.
Yeah,
and look at it.
I know, it'll be vile to look at, and I'll send you a DVD of a heart operation. I'm sure it'll be just as vile.
In the womb is not murder. It's beyond me.
All right,
how anybody can say on a radio, or any educated person can say that abortion isn't wrong, I can't understand it.
But that's where we all differ in our opinions, Jimmy, isn't it?
How can anybody in this educated era say abortion isn't killing a child?
Nine.
RTE, television. Do you want to show what abortion is? You've got the evidence because the DVDs were sent to you, RTE.
Sorry, Tara, what do you want to say to John?
I'm convinced that Jimmy came from a single parent family. I'm convinced that his father ran away from his mother.
And so
I'm
what
convinced,
if he did?
Jimmy.
What business is that of yours?
You constantly, Jimmy, talk about abortion, and you constantly want to tell women what to do with their own body. So I am convinced tonight on air that you came from a single parent family.
And what if I did?
And your dad ran away from your mum. And that you have a psychological hang-up with that, Jimmy. Oh, so you have a psychological hang-up, Jimmy. You do. Admit it. You have a hang-up, Jimmy. Something happened in your family. And it must have been that. Because you're obsessed with abortion.
You know the song by Michael Jackson, Look in the Mirror. You need to look in the mirror, love.
Oh, God.
You need to listen to yourself. From Tipperary, wherever you're from.
Cork.
Coming on that radio every day, insulting men. And
listen, Jimmy. Jimmy, I went out with a guy for 4 years, okay? And it was great up to 4 years. And then he started slapping me around the place. Imagine if I'd gotten pregnant, Jimmy. Where would I be now? Yeah, where would I be now? So I think abortion gives women independence that they never had. So just shut up, Jimmy, and put up with it, okay? And stay out of women's affairs. Because you're not a woman. You don't have a vagina, okay? So you don't have a point of view on this subject, unless you want to tell us something, Jimmy.
You've got penis envy. You want to be a man.
Well, you tell us, Jimmy, tonight.
She wants to be a man.
Well, I heard her one night talking about getting her neck shaved.
She wants to be a man.
You know what I think, Niall? You know what I think? I think Jimmy dresses up as a woman. That's what I think. He's a closet transvestite.
Jimmy, you do have a weird obsession with, worrying about hang on, worrying about women's affairs. I mean, say well, abortion, for example, it is a woman's affair, isn't it? It's a woman's choice at the end of the day, whether she agrees with it or not. I mean, why are us men getting involved, Jimmy?
What do you mean it's a woman's choice?
Well, why are we getting involved in it? I mean, you're never going to need an abortion.
Abortion, we have to stand up for what is wrong. I have met women, I've known women who have committed suicide.
You've met women, have you? You're not even going...
I have seen the effects of abortion.
When's the last time you had a sexual relationship, Jimmy? When's the last time you had sex? Besides with yourself now.
God, you're funny, Terry. You're a comedian tonight.
Yeah.
I know. You listen. When I listened to you first a couple of years ago, I thought you were a bit funny. But now I know what you are. It's the same old tune over and over and over. You become boring after a while. So I just learned to live with you now.
Underwear, or a nice dress. I can always help you in that department. Like, if you're into the cross-dress, and I can help you.
Okay, so we'll read out one text before I finish this up to Jimmy here. Somebody says, no mention from Jimmy about the huge psychological damage done to thousands of children raped by members of his cult, a.k.a. the Catholic Church, from Stephen and Ballinclash. What about the thousands of children that were raped and abused and sexually abused by your church, Jimmy?
My church?
Yeah.
Well, one sure
the one that you were defending 15 minutes ago.
Mr. Boylan, there's one sure thing, sir. You don't have to defend the actions of the paedophiles in the media. I don't have to defend the criminal actions of paedophiles who came into the church. I don't feel in any way they done damage to what we as people believe. I don't have to feel guilty about any of them. I have no conscience about them. What they done, that's what they done, and many of them end up in prison, and that's where they go. But what about the paedophile stepfathers, the paedophile fathers, mothers, doctors, all these things? You can't generalise and say that one form of paedophilia is worse than the other. It isn't. The most trusted of all paedophiles are parents or step-parents, and it is horrendous what has gone on in Ireland. So for that person, they are sitting there in their armchair with a half a bottle of wine inside them, and they want to take it out on the church. Grow up, love. Grow up.
There was a man, actually. Stephen is his name.
Well, Stephen, sure. You don't know what Steve,
This is a Classic Hits 4FM podcast.